The alarm screamed through the halls like a warning to anyone who dared to believe that life was fair. Water rushed from the ceilings on the 38th floor of Clearwater Industries, soaking millions of dollars worth of equipment and spreading panic among the neatly dressed employees who had always considered themselves superior to the ones who cleaned up after them. People scattered in frantic confusion, terrified voices rising all around, and in the middle of the chaos stood a man no one expected to matter, an aging janitor with tired eyes, strong hands, and a heart that had been bruised too many times by the world's cruelty. His name was Samuel Hayes, but around here, most people didn't even bother to ask. If you believe in kindness, respect, and second chances, take a moment to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it forward, and subscribe for more emotional stories. Your support keeps inspiring content alive. Samuel lived quietly, blending into the background like the beige walls he scrubbed every night. He walked the same route, pushing the same cart, wearing the same uniform that people pretended not to see. Yet beneath that worn fabric was a man who had once dreamed of designing the very machines that filled these offices. He had studied engineering in college before life's harsh winds blew everything apart. His mother's illness, medical bills piling like impossible mountains, and a responsibility that forced him to abandon his future to support the only person who had ever believed in him. His life became survival, not dreaming. First small jobs, then bigger disappointments, and finally, here, invisible, forgotten, except by one person, the CEO. Victoria Langston, sharp heels, sharper words, a reputation built not on compassion but on profit. Her eyes were cold with ambition, her mouth always pressed into a line of dissatisfaction. She had once looked Samuel up and down, scoffed loudly enough for a room to hear, and said, "Just a janitor, don't block the executive's path." Everyone had laughed as though cruelty was comedy. She never asked where he came from. She never wondered what storms he'd endured. To her, he was nothing. Until the day everything changed. It started as a normal cleaning shift. The city outside shimmered under the night sky. Samuel took pride in making sure every floor shined, every trash bin emptied. Sometimes he paused, imagining himself behind one of those desks, designing, creating. He always smiled sadly, swallowing dreams like broken glass. But that night, something felt wrong. He heard it first, a faint popping from a corner wall where newly installed pipes connected to the company's main server cooling system. Then came the vibrations, rapid, uneven. His instincts sharpened like old gears awakened. He had worked construction before. He knew this sound meant pressure buildup. He rushed to report it, but no one listened. The security staff shrugged. They said maintenance would check it in the morning. Then, it blew. The pressure burst with violent force, unleashing water through the ceilings. The floors shook as though the building itself feared drowning. Employees screamed, running in disarray. Office workers who once held their heads high now panicked like children lost in a storm. The worst damage was hitting the executive servers. Data worth billions, the heart of the entire company. If the servers failed, every contract, file, and blueprint stored digitally, gone. Years of work erased in minutes. Victoria stumbled out of her office, anger burning hotter than fear. She barked orders that no one could follow. Panic had severed logic. The maintenance team failed to shut off the correct valves. Water kept pouring like punishment from the unseen heavens. Samuel didn't think, he acted. His mind raced back to all the engineering classes, the blueprints he once studied by lamplight, the pipe systems he repaired in silence over years of labor. He knew the building better than anyone. He pushed past. Fleeing employees, his wet shoes squeaking, but his determination unshakable. There was no glory in his dramatic sprint, only necessity. He reached the emergency control panel, but half the buttons were mislabeled after a recent renovation. He muttered numbers under his breath, recalling every upgrade he had observed while scrubbing floors. He slammed his hand on the correct override, one that even the trained staff hadn't thought to try. The alarm slowed, water pressure eased, the leak began to choke and finally die off. Still, too much water rushed through the cables. A spark threatened to ignite disaster. Samuel yanked open a fuse panel and rerouted power with bare hands, ignoring the pain of sparks biting into his skin. He used his body as a shield to keep the servers dry while water drenched his back like a relentless storm. Minutes later, silence fell. The crisis was contained. People stared at him, this man they had ignored, mocked, dismissed. He breathed heavily, heart pounding, hands trembling. The water dripped from his clothes like a quiet applause from fate itself. Victoria arrived, her designer heels splashing through the puddles. She looked furious, because she no longer had control. She demanded to know who shut down the system, who touched the panel without permission. When someone pointed to Samuel, her face twisted, not in gratitude, but annoyance, as if she resented being saved by someone she considered beneath her. She snapped that he had no authority and would be punished for tampering with company property. That broke something in the room. A programmer, eyes wide with anger, stepped forward and said Samuel had saved every ounce of data the company owned. Another employee, who had once snickered at him, confessed that if not for Samuel, their jobs would be gone by morning. Word spread like wildfire. People gathered around the janitor who had held their future on his shoulders. Suddenly, the CEO looked very small in her arrogance. Board members were alerted. They demanded details. Security footage didn't lie. It showed Samuel doing what none of the highly paid specialists could. It showed courage, knowledge, heart. The next morning, Victoria was summoned to an emergency board meeting. Her leadership was questioned, and not softly. Her refusal to listen to staff warnings, her cruelty toward employees, her inability to manage a crisis, it all stood stacked against her like undeniable evidence. Her cold composure cracked when the board began discussing removal. Instant karma, delivered without mercy. Meanwhile, Samuel was asked to wait outside, unaware that the storm inside had turned his suffering into justice. He sat quietly, wringing water from his old work shirt. He thought they might fire him. Instead, the door opened. The board chairman approached, a gentle smile on his usually stern face. He thanked Samuel for protecting not only the building, but the entire company's future. Then, he offered something no one in that building ever imagined. A new job. Not a demotion to another form of labor, but a promotion into the engineering department. The chairman explained they had reviewed Samuel's personnel file. They saw his unfinished engineering degree. They saw references from old supervisors praising his intelligence and dedication. They saw a man who had been underestimated for far too long. Samuel blinked back tears. His mother had always said his heart was bigger than his struggles. If only she were alive to see him now. Victoria, forced to remain silent, watched as the man she belittled rose higher than she ever expected. The board stripped her of power for her behavior and negligence. Her elevator ride down from the top floor was the longest fall she'd ever taken. Samuel walked into his new department where, instead of mocking laughter, he was greeted with applause. People approached with humble admiration. Some apologized for times they ignored him. He accepted because kindness was in his nature, even toward those who hadn't shown it to him. Weeks passed and Samuel thrived. His ideas saved money and improved safety. The once invisible janitor was suddenly the mind they relied on. His confidence grew, not arrogant but rooted in self-worth finally acknowledged. He bought new clothes, not to impress, but to feel like he belonged. Yet he never forgot where he came from. Some nights he still helped the janitorial staff clean, lifting buckets, sharing stories, reminding them that respect isn't earned by titles, but by how you treat others. One late evening, Samuel stood by a window overlooking the city lights, reflecting on the journey from silent worker to valued engineer. He thought of the laughter that once stung like betrayal, the hopeless nights where he questioned his existence, and the moment he chose action over fear. That moment changed everything. And then something unexpected happened. The chairman joined him by the window and revealed that the company wanted to fully fund his education so he could complete his degree. He would become a licensed engineer, officially. His dreams, once buried, were blooming again. Samuel felt his heart swell with a joy he had long forgotten. Life hadn't broken him, it had shaped him. Every hardship carved strength, every tear taught perseverance, every insult forged humility. His story became a silent lesson whispered through the office walls. Never underestimate anyone. Never mock someone's position. You don't know the wars they've fought. On the day he received his official engineering certification, the entire company celebrated. Some cried. Samuel felt reborn, finally stepping into the life he had once believed impossible. Meanwhile, Victoria's name became a cautionary tale, a reminder that cruelty invites consequences. She lost everything she used to judge others. And Samuel, he gained everything she never valued: respect, purpose, love for what he did. His journey, once dark with despair, now shined with hope. A beacon reminding the world that even the lowest-ranked individual may carry the highest potential. Never assume someone is just anything. Human beings are never small. If this story touched your heart, please like the video, share it to inspire others, and subscribe to stay with us for more true value stories that uplift the soul. Before you go, comment below. Everyone deserves respect. Thank you for watching. May kindness lead you, always. If you'd like, I can also provide a compelling SEO title and description ad. Professional background music suggestions. Format this into a ready-to-record YouTube script with timestamps. Would you like me to create a thumbnail text and hashtags too?